Well, some much needed fixes are coming to the exterior of the Coronado Performing Arts Center in downtown Rockford thanks to an award granted by City Council.
WIFR reporter Alyssa Kelly talks with friends of the Coronado and a city official about the importance of this partnership.
Monday night, the Finance and Personnel Committee awards a more than $2 million contract to Berlin Construction Company to repair and upgrade the outside of the historic theater.
It's a real testament to the city on taking care of the building.
Nearly 20 years after the Coronado Performing Arts Center was restored, pieces of the historical landmark started to crack and fall off. Friends of the Coronado quickly took action to save it.
Went out to our resources, the architects that did the restoration here, as well as they point us then to the direction of the general contractor who came out the next day, said you've got a number of issues going here, you've got water.
Following a study on the front of the building, the city of Rockford was able to get grants for the restoration, a critical project to secure the exterior of the building.
Because it's a registered landmark, there was a lot of effort and really requirements that we couldn't change the exterior look. You know, there's many doors along here that were former storefronts.
The city will replace and repair windows, doors, and also repair the building's fire escape.
The goal is not to change necessarily what the exterior facade is going to look like. In a perfect world, people might not notice when the project is done.
The restoration will also involve work to maintain and replace the stone, brick, terracotta, and more that make up the front of the building.
The organization that just really works hard to make sure that it stays here for a very long time.
According to the City Council, the restoration project will be complete sometime in 2025.
Thank you, Alyssa. And Beth Howard with Friends of Coronado wants to remind the community the theater is there for them.
In fact, on Saturday, August 24th, the group brings back the free movie day for families and kids to enjoy the movie Elemental.
Nice to do it indoors right now, yes.